Chapter 41. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 41. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your Highness, you seeing this? Lu De looked mortified. Even though he couldn't stand the imperial concubine, he'd learned how to survive in the palace over the past decade. Sure, His Majesty was currently disgusted with her, but what if he changed his mind someday? You never knew, so it was best not to make enemies unnecessarily. Save yourself future headaches. The imperial concubine glared at Lu De, silently cursing him. Slave dog, just you wait. I'll get even for this humiliation. She saw the disdain in his eyes, but since he was the emperor's chief eunuch, she had to swallow her pride. Lu De noticed the hatred burning in her eyes. He felt helpless and ashamed for his actions. He'd been so obsequious, but she was still holding it against him. He thought about the newly appointed imperial concubine. She was far more favored, yet she never looked down on the servants. She treated everyone with respect. She wasn't arrogant or bossy just because she had the emperor's attention. She enjoyed the emperor's favor, but knew where to draw the line. Besides, her pampering was only for His Majesty. What the emperor did was his business and none of theirs. With that in mind, Lu De instructed the 4 junior eunuchs and then headed to the House of Internal Affairs to select 5 eunuchs, 5 maids, and 2 experienced nanny to send to Mengyu Palace. Since the imperial concubine was now in charge of the harem, she needed experienced people. Otherwise, how could her small staff manage everything? Just as Yun Yuran was pondering how to manage the harem, Lu De sent her these 12 people. Perfect timing. She mentally gave Lu De a thumbs up. He was a true insider and knew how to get things done. She was now an imperial concubine, and her staff should naturally be larger, but Lu De had doubled it, thinking that there were 20 people in her palace alone, including maids and eunuchs. If Mengyu Palace wasn't so spacious, how could they possibly fit? She was practically living like a queen, but her title was still imperial concubine. Living the life of a queen as an imperial concubine was simply wonderful. Xiao Shizi was put in charge of the eunuchs, and the 2 new nanny managed the maids. Aunt Yu, along with Chunhua and Chuyue, continued to oversee Yun Yuran's meals, expenses, and relationships. And Yu hadn't expected to be so valued after coming to the imperial concubine. She had assumed she was viewed with suspicion as someone sent by the emperor. Sincerity always gets its rewards. This made her work even harder for Yun Yuran. Yun Yuran never worried about Aunt Yu being the emperor's spy. She wanted to have his child, which meant she would be deeply involved with him. Having someone loyal to the emperor by her side was a blessing. Only a fool would get rid of someone like that. The only people she'd brought with her from outside the palace were Chunhua and Chuyue, who were only temporary help. She didn't even have an experienced person by her side. The emperor sent his confidants, and they wouldn't be wasted. Soon, Yun Yuran took control of the 6th palace. First, she consulted with the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother was already stressed with the emperor's undone work and didn't want to worry about anything else. Since her son had entrusted the 6th palace to Yun Yuran, he obviously trusted her. The Queen Mother didn't offer much advice. She had no objections to Yun Yuran's plans. Knowing the Queen Mother's stance, Yun Yuran implemented sweeping reforms. She even sent people to investigate pricing in the palace's procurement processes. Anyone caught falsifying prices would be dismissed and investigated, with the worst cases affecting their families. Her approach was swift and decisive, and she didn't care who the person was connected to. Nobody got special treatment. After the initial shock, some still tried to get away with minor corruption, but overall, greed was scaled back significantly. People needed some incentive to stay motivated, so she wasn't overly concerned. Any troublemakers wouldn't dare to cause a stir right now. A drop of sewage can ruin a glass of clear water, but a drop of clear water can't purify a glass of sewage. Xiao Zhenye was impressed with Yun Yuran's methods. He'd considered sending more of his people to assist her, but she'd handled everything easily. She was indeed the woman he loved, truly exceptional. Lu De noticed the emperor's pleased expression and felt relieved. He'd always believed that the imperial concubine was destined for great things, so he'd been respectful from the start. He hadn't looked down on her just because she was a concubine. Lu De, this imperial concubine is truly capable. She is intelligent, perceptive, and never sloppy. Yes, Your Majesty's judgment is truly a blessing. Your Majesty is blessed. What a pity. Lu sighed silently. Reward, you can speak freely. Xiao Zhenye, beaming, rewarded Lu without hesitation. Lu quickly kowtowed, thank you, your majesty, for the reward. Asterisk wow, asterisk he didn't expect to be rewarded for flattery. I'll have to butter up the imperial concubine more often. A month later, Yun Yuran was napping when she heard Lu announce, His Majesty is here. Yun Yuran quickly got up, straightened her clothes, and went to greet the emperor. Since the emperor could no longer perform courteous courtesies, he no longer knew how to face Yun Yuran and how to get along with her. This was his first visit to Mengyu Palace since he'd been drugged. Greetings, your majesty. Yun Yuran swayed slightly, her face radiant with joy. She looked as if she'd been eagerly awaiting his arrival, her love for him shining in her eyes. Ran, please rise. The emperor took her hand. Thank you, your majesty. They walked hand in hand into the inner room. After Chunhua served tea, she discreetly left. When His Majesty and the imperial concubine were together, they didn't need servants. Yun Yuran gazed at the emperor, her eyes sparkling. What brings Yi to Mengyu Palace today? Xiao Zhenye playfully pinched her nose and asked, don't you want me here, Ran? Yun Yuran kissed him lightly, her smile bright as a flower. Ran is overjoyed that Yi is here. Why wouldn't I want you? Ran, don't hold it against me. I've been busy lately and haven't had time to visit. Please don't be angry, okay? In truth, the emperor feared that seeing Yun Yuran would only remind him of his inability to make her happy, so he'd been avoiding her, consciously or unconsciously. He would occasionally ask her to dine with him to soothe the pain of longing, but he never let her stay overnight. Yi is concerned about the country and the people, dedicated to Daki's prosperity and stability. How could Ran argue with you? Ran isn't someone who doesn't know what's important and makes trouble for no reason. Understanding his struggles, Yun Yuran didn't press him. You know my Ran is the most sensible. That's why I personally named you imperial concubine. Ran was given the title as soon as she entered the palace. I'm truly blessed. There is no need to feel guilty, Ran. I originally wanted to give you the position of queen, but the queen has just been deposed and it is not appropriate to be canonized now. Yi, even just being the imperial concubine makes Ran content. At least no one dares to cross His Majesty and the Queen Mother to mistreat me, and I don't have to worry about that woman's face. You're easily pleased. The other concubines all dream of climbing to the top and looking down on everyone else. Hey, Ran already has Yi. What more could I want? There's a time for everything, and if it's not meant to be, it's not worth chasing. Ha! You decide then. I can't even begin to imagine. Ran can't make the decision. Xiao Zhenye pulled Yun Yuran into his arms, sat her on his lap, and said softly, okay, I have something to tell you. Chapter 42 After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 42. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Yuran looked up, her face serious. What is it? The court keeps pressuring me to adopt Xiao Ziheng, but I don't like him. Can't I adopt someone from another clan? The Xiao family isn't the only option. He's just the loudest. He's ruthless, but admittedly, he's competent. If Xiao Zhenye hadn't married Yun Yuran, he and the Queen Mother would have been in Xiao Ziheng's pocket, but after what happened, Xiao Zhenye saw Xiao Ziheng as selfish. He'd ditch his fiancée and scheme against her for power. What if he abandoned Daki down the road for something else? Even though Xiao Ziheng was sharp and capable, he lacked kindness. Xiao Zhenye couldn't trust him with Daki's future. An emperor can be cruel, it's almost a requirement. How else do you secure your country and keep your ministers in line? But you need integrity. Don't resort to underhanded tricks unless the other guy is a villain. He despised Xiao Ziheng for scheming against an innocent person to climb the ladder. If you don't want to marry someone, break off the engagement cleanly. Don't ruin an innocent person's reputation for your own gain. He wants fame, but what about her? He shuddered to think that, following Xiao Ziheng's example, Zhang Feng might have been killed without evidence, the Zhang family wiped out without a chance, that would scare the hell out of his generals and courtiers. If they rebelled in protest, he'd be out of a job, Daki would fall apart. Yun Yuran puffed out her cheeks, I don't want him to be adopted. Why not? Xiao Xinye hadn't expected such a strong reaction. Yun Yuran took his hand and placed it on her belly. If Xiao Ziheng takes over, my child will be at his mercy. Huh? Xiao Xinye thought he'd misheard. Idiot, Yun Yuran said, pinching his cheek. Ouch. He stared at her blankly, rubbing his face. Does it hurt? He nodded. Yeah. Good. Then you're not dreaming. You heard right. Xiao Xinye's heart pounded. Is this real, star? Humph, I don't believe you, Yun Yuran said, turning away. Xiao Xinye quickly grabbed her hand, lifted her into his arms, carried her to the bed, and gently set her down, like a priceless treasure he was afraid of breaking. I believe you. I believe everything you say. He'd been scared it was a lie, and his reaction had been slow. He started trembling, nearly fainting, his strength gone. He tried to stand, but collapsed back onto the bed. Yun Yuran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She couldn't believe the emperor was like this. Seeing him slumped on the edge of the bed, she chuckled. What's wrong, Yi? Xiao Xinye slowly turned his head. You're laughing. Why are you laughing? Why are you so shocked? You look like you've seen a ghost. I was just too happy to react. Don't worry about me. He was a storm inside. He spoke softly, afraid of disturbing her. Yun Yuran stood up, took his hand, and placed it on her stomach. This is our baby. Aren't you happy? Ha ha ha, yes. He laughed, unrestrained. Luda hurried in. Yes, Your Majesty. Get Dr. Xian. Now. Luda looked at him, concerned. What's wrong? Not me. Get all the imperial doctors from the imperial hospital. Yes, Your Majesty. Seeing the joy on the emperor's face, Luda didn't ask questions and rushed to the imperial hospital. Xiao Xinye took Yun Yuran's hand. Don't be scared. The doctors will be here soon. I'm not scared. You are, Yun Yuran teased. Xiao Xinye looked away, embarrassed. Please don't laugh at me. Yun Yuran cupped his cheek. Okay, I'll stop. Xiao Xinye squeezed her hand. I'll love and cherish you forever. I'll never betray you. As long as I live, I won't let you suffer or allow anything like that to happen again. I believe you. She felt his love and care. He radiated love for her. Dean Luo and 3 imperial doctors followed Luda into the hall. Greetings, Your Majesty, Imperial Concubine. Rise. Dr. Luo examined the imperial concubine's pulse. The doctors wanted to observe, listen, and ask questions, but the imperial concubine on the bed looked healthy. Yes, Your Majesty. His Majesty inviting so many of them showed how important this concubine was to him. Several imperial doctors took turns taking Yun Yuran's pulse, then huddled together to discuss. Imperial physician Luo asked, Your Highness, have you felt unwell lately? Yun Yuran thought for a moment. I've been tired, weak, and lethargic, and my appetite's been off. The imperial doctors exchanged excited glances. What is it? Xiao Xinye asked, his heart pounding. The doctor's excitement made him certain Yun Yuran was pregnant, but he needed to hear it confirmed. Dr. Luo approached the emperor, bowed, and said, Your Majesty, after examination, we unanimously agree that the imperial concubine is a month and a half pregnant. I'm going to be a father. Xiao Xinye asked, his voice trembling, his composure shattered, joy overwhelmed him. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Everyone in the palace celebrated. Rewards. Everyone is rewarded. Luda, tell them all the eunuchs and maids in Mengyu Palace will receive 2 months extra pay for serving the imperial concubines so well. Yes, Your Majesty. Luda was thrilled. The emperor would finally have an heir. As his personal eunuch, he knew the emperor's pain. This concubine was the emperor's lucky star, no, the lucky star of all of Daki. With this child, Daki's succession and stability were assured. Even if it was a princess, she could give birth to a prince someday. Chapter 43. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 43. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Yuran took charge of the 6th palace, and Lu De hustled off to tell Xiao Shizi and Grandma Yu what to do. Then, he immediately headed for the Queen Mother's Shokang Palace. He practically flew. When he arrived, he cheerfully asked Guizhi, "Mother Guizhi, is the Queen Mother awake?" "She just woke up." "What's up, eunuch Lu De?" Guizhi noticed the wide grin on Lu De's face and raised an eyebrow. "Aunt Guizhi, tell the Queen Mother I have urgent news." "All right, hold on a sec." A moment later, Guizhi returned. "You can go in now, eunuch Lu." Inside, Lu De bowed. "Greetings, Queen Mother." "Rise." "What's so important?" "Queen Mother, the imperial concubine is pregnant. The royal physicians confirmed it. She's about 6 weeks along." "Ah. This. She sputtered, unable to find the words. Lu De clarified, "It's true, Queen Mother. She's definitely pregnant." "But, the Emperor?" she implied, realizing the Queen Mother's unspoken question. Lu De quickly added, "Based on the timeline, she conceived shortly after entering the palace." He knew what she suspected. With His Majesty seemingly resigned to a life without heirs, her doubt was understandable. The Queen Mother swayed, nearly losing her balance. Guizhi steadied her. "Easy, Queen Mother. Okay, I'm alright." She had a grandchild. Finally, she could face her ancestors with pride. "Lu De, hurry back and have your most trusted people look after the imperial concubine. Make sure nothing goes wrong." "Yes, Queen Mother, I'll see to it immediately." "Guizhi, the imperial concubine is a blessing to our family, to the Emperor, to me. With this child, the Empire's future felt secure. Even if it was just a girl, it didn't matter. It was still the Emperor's blood, better than adopting some outsider. Yes, this child couldn't have come at a better time. I heard this morning a group of ministers were already pressing His Majesty to adopt Prince Xiao." No one understood His Majesty's pain. The Queen Mother leaned on Guizhi, her eyes shining with newfound energy. "That's over now. The imperial concubine is pregnant. Let's see who dares push the Emperor now. Indeed, the country is safe for now. Guizhi, go through my stores. Find the best, most valuable things and send them to the imperial concubine. The more, the better." She wanted to burst into tears of joy. She and the Emperor had given up hope. "Guizhi, let's go. I want to see the imperial concubine and my grandchild." "Queen Mother, she's just pregnant. It's not a good time to visit yet." "It's all right. As long as she's well, there will be plenty of time to see the baby." Thankfully, she'd been neither too warm nor too cold towards the imperial concubine. The Queen Mother marched forward without Guizhi's help, walking with a speed that belied her age. Guizhi had to jog to keep up. "Queen Mother, please slow down. The imperial concubine isn't going anywhere. I want to see her now, to make sure she's comfortable. The Emperor's a grown man, but he can be clueless. I need to make sure he doesn't do anything to hurt her." After the royal doctors left, Xiao Zhenye embraced Yun Yuran like a child. Ran, my Ran, I'm so happy, I can barely speak." His eyes welled up, and a tear fell onto Yun Yuran's face. The hot tear stung her delicate skin and warmed her heart. She cupped his face and kissed him gently. In that moment, they were completely in sync, their hearts intertwined. "Don't be sad. Ran promised she'd have a child for a ye. She finally kept her promise, didn't disappoint you. Did you know all along that I couldn't have children?" "Yes, I realized it when you were sick and I was caring for you in the nourishing heart hall." "Who told you? Was there a traitor in his inner circle?" Xiao Zhenye's face paled. "I'll find out who's been spreading rumors." Yun Yuran tapped his forehead. "I haven't been outside. I'm not stupid. So many of your concubines visited, but none of them brought children. Couldn't I figure it out? Besides, at your age, you should have kids about my age, but I never saw them, not once. I didn't need anyone to tell me. If I were that clueless, I wouldn't have survived in the Prime Minister's mansion. Xiao Zhinya softened. You're too smart, Ran. Knowing I couldn't have children, you never thought of leaving me? Would I let me? Xiao Zhinya shook his head. Never. Then isn't that a silly question? Yin Yuran rolled her eyes, seeing her cute expression. Xiao Zhinya smiled. You're the only one who dares to act so casually in front of me. Humph, I'm not going to change myself just to please you. I am who I am, and I won't make myself miserable for anyone. Then why did you stay in the Prime Minister's house? I had my reasons. You wouldn't understand, Yun Yuran said mysteriously. Fine, if you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. As long as you care for me, you can do whatever you want. If I go kill someone, will I give me the knife? Whoever you want dead, I'll do it for you. I wouldn't want to stain your hands. You're going to spoil me rotten. Yin Yuran wrapped her arms around his neck, gazing into his eyes. That's the plan. I'll spoil you so much, no one else can stand you. Only I can tolerate your bad temper. And if I'm tolerant, you'll never leave me. Humph, you're such a schemer. Well, I only scheme for you. Who else is worthy of my attention? Who knows? You have 3,000 beauties in your harem. That concubine, this noble concubine, how do you treat them? Yun Yuran felt a pang of emotion, her eyes welled up. Why did she feel so wronged? Could it be the hormones messing with her emotions during pregnancy? Hearing her jealous words, Xiao Zhinya chuckled, then said apologetically, Before I met you, Ran, I didn't know what love, longing, or affection meant. The women in the harem were just connections to the court. If I felt like it, I'd visit them. If I needed to vent, I could summon them, that's all it was. The later ones were brought in because they were desperate for children. I must have been working hard every night, right? Xiao Zhinya avoided her gaze. At the time, I was worried about an heir, so I had to. Humph, scumbag. Then her eyes turned red, and tears streamed down her face. She jumped up, away from the emperor. I'm dirty, boo-hoo. Good night. See you tomorrow. Chapter 44. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 44. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She jumped up, moving away from the emperor. I feel gross. Ugh. Thinking about how many people had used that thing, she doubled over, vomiting. Ugh. Xiao Zhinya was alarmed. Ran, what's wrong? What's gross? It looks clean enough to me. Ugh, you wouldn't understand. Just the thought of so many people using something made her skin crawl. Like a toilet brush, poking and prodding. Ugh. Her face was pale after vomiting. Ran, tell me what's wrong. Xiao Zhinya was sweating, panicked, and unsure what to do. Don't come near me. She recoiled from him. He shouldn't have told her about his past. He knew she was sharp and headstrong. She said she felt dirty, *2 dirty. Xiao Zhinya remembered her reaction after he mentioned his past with other women. She'd suddenly jumped up and thrown up. Did she find him disgusting? Xiao Zhinya's face darkened as he watched Yun Yuran. Are you saying you find me dirty? Yun Yuran, still pale, didn't nod or shake her head, but he saw the disgust in her eyes. He approached her, coaxing, I didn't know I'd meet you, Ran. If I had, I never would have slept with another woman. Seeing her struggle to control her emotions, he said, the past is the past. Let's focus on the future. I promise I'll be faithful to you from now on. No more women. Oh, so you can touch women now? She snapped. Xiao Zhinya heard her. Even though she'd whispered it, his face grew even darker. His eyes were sinister. Who told you I can't touch women? His voice was like ice. Yun Yuran flinched, nearly falling. He caught her, but she was shaken by his look. Why do I feel so stupid all of a sudden? Even a look scared her. Had pregnancy made her dumb? If she was having twins, would she be like this for years? The system said, Xiao Ran, you won't have those pregnancy issues. You're not going to become stupid. Relax. Besides, it would be a blow to my reputation. Then why was I so scared? He's an emperor, a ruler. His eyes are intense. When he unleashes that pressure, it's a lot. You are powerful, but that is pressure. You're going to get a reaction. That makes sense. Seeing her fright, Xiao Zhinya shook his head and softened his voice. I'm sorry I scared you. I apologize. If they weren't arguing, she would have slapped him. Sorry wasn't going to fix that. The system said, you did this. You brought it up. Stop complaining about the consequences. I hate him. I want to hate him. I'm pregnant, he won't do anything to me, even if I try to kill him. You're asking for trouble. You like him, have feelings for him, but you're acting like this. I want him to know what I don't like. If he loves me, he'll remember his duty and not screw up. You sound like you're the emperor. So bossy. I can't be emperor, but I'm the mother of the next emperor. What's wrong with being bossy? Fine, fine. See how long he puts up with you. Go for it. You can do it. Bye. I'm not seeing you out. She looked at the emperor, tears welling up. You don't love me anymore. You threaten me with that cold voice. You're not my Ayi. My Ayi is gentle and doting. Who are you? What have you done with him? What kind of monster are you? Xiao Zhinya laughed. What goes on in that head of yours? 1 minute I'm dirty, the next I'm a monster. You're something else. Tell me, what would you do if I did turn into a monster? If it's a monster, Ran will destroy it. He'd beg for mercy, that she meant it, but Xiao Zhinya thought she was joking. He steadied her and tapped her forehead. Be careful. You're pregnant. If I hadn't caught you, you could have fallen. Think about the consequences. Don't worry. There won't be any consequences. Your son and daughter are already settled in. They'd be safe even if I took an abortion pill. That was ridiculous. The emperor was speechless. What to do? Spoil her. Hiccup. Yun Yuran's shoulders shook. You promised not to touch other women. Or else. I'll kill you and make you a eunuch. Or else what? Xiao Zhinya asked, smirking. Humph. Yun Yuran ignored him. Tell me. What happens to you? He wanted an answer. You want to know? He nodded. Yun Yuran beckoned him closer. Since becoming emperor, he hadn't bowed to anyone, but seeing her cunning eyes, he desperately wanted to hear the answer. Fine, he'd bow. There was no shame in bowing to his woman. As he leaned down, Yun Yuran jumped up and wrapped her legs around his waist. He grabbed her hips, panicked. Her breath was like orchids in his ear. She whispered, Ah Yi, if you ever sleep with another woman, I'll turn you into a eunuch. Xiao Zhinya playfully slapped her behind. You're pregnant and jumping around. And you dare threaten me? What makes you so confident? Ha! Yun Yuran patted her belly. His Majesty and the baby, of course. You bully me because I love you, and you drag my kids into it. What can I do? He's in Ran's belly now. Don't worry. I promised, and I won't break it. I'll always remember. Yun Yuran kissed him. Good. Her legs were still wrapped around him. He couldn't do anything. He was at her mercy. When she wasn't pregnant, he was already devoted to her. Now that she was pregnant, he'd do anything for her. She was carrying his child. Chapter 45. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 45. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Yuran was pleased. He was turning out to be just the man she'd molded, totally obedient. The emperor, seeing her smile, playfully patted her butt and gave it a squeeze. Man, he thought, feels good. Nice and springy, softer than cotton, and perfect for a little squeeze. Come on down now. You're pregnant, remember? No more of that. Too risky, he said, his tone gentle and loving. Yun Yuran wrapped her arms around his neck, nuzzled her head against his chest, and said sweetly, nope, gotta stay right here. Makes me feel safe, like I'm the only one for you, Ugh, this is so gross. So cheesy, the system whined. The emperor ate up her clinginess. Whatever makes you happy, he said. After a few minutes, Yun Yuran's arms started to ache. She pouted, my arms are getting tired. Xiao Zhinya chuckled, clearly in a good mood. I told you to get down, but you wouldn't listen. Now you're paying the price, aren't you? Can't just lie down on the bed? Then I can lie on top of you. You're something else, you know that. So, will do it? She asked, eyes wide with anticipation. Of course. You're practically royalty now. How could I say no? This is what you get for spoiling me. Xiao Zhinya just shook his head, smiling. Yep, gotta pamper my delicate little darling, even if I have to bend over backward to do it. The emperor did as she asked, lying down on the bed, and Yun Yuran snuggled on top of him. Ye's the best, she murmured. Soon, her eyelids grew heavy, her breathing evened out, and she drifted off to sleep, listening to her gentle breaths. The emperor reached up and stroked her hair, his eyes filled with affection. This is the life, he thought. A wife, a baby on the way, so much hope, happiness, and dreams. An hour later, the emperor heard voices outside the door and slowly opened his eyes. He was met by a bright, beautiful, and captivating face. Her expressive eyes were fixed on him. When did you wake up? Just now. I heard voices out there. Sounds like the Queen Mother. Then we should get up. Don't want to keep her waiting. Yun Yuran hopped up, quick and efficient, and straightened her clothes, glancing in the mirror to fix her hair. The emperor winced. This girl doesn't take her pregnancy seriously at all. Still doing whatever she wants. That he wanted to say something but was afraid of setting her off. Lately, she'd been so sensitive and unpredictable, always throwing him curveballs. Best to just go along with it and keep her happy. Oh well, he thought. She probably knows her limits. Better to keep my mouth shut. Yun Yuran was testing how much she could get away with. Seeing that the emperor was still on board, she grinned and walked back to the bed, looking down at him. Ye's performance was excellent. Deserves a gold star. That the emperor was speechless. She was testing him, after all. Good thing he'd held his tongue, or he'd have landed in the doghouse again. You think she's simple, but she's got her own little games. And as sweet as she is, she can be bossy and demanding. The only thing consistent was that she was super clingy around him, always ready to cry, whine, and throw a fit. Hurry up and get dressed so I can fix your clothes. What if the Queen Mother sees you looking all disheveled and blames me? Relax, she already loves you. She wouldn't want to see you upset. Your mom probably heard you were pregnant and couldn't wait to come see you. Ever hear this one? Xiao Zhinya looked confused. Hear what? Tell me. Mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law are natural enemies. They're hard to get along with, even in normal families, let alone in the royal family. My Queen Mother isn't like that. You've been here long enough. Hasn't she been good to you? Yun Yuran shook her head. Not really, she said. The Queen Mother hasn't given me trouble, sure, but only because of you. That just proves she's a good mother. She'd put up with anything for her kids, even if she doesn't like it. You think someone like that would go out of her way to make things difficult for you? Besides, she likes who I like, right? It was true. From their first meeting, the Queen Mother had never been anything but pleasant. She couldn't say she liked her, but she'd never made it obvious that she didn't. She ran the imperial harem but never interfered or gave her unwanted advice. She was a fair-minded lady who knew how to play the game. Just then, the Queen Mother burst into the room and saw Yun Yuran adjusting the Emperor's clothes. She gasped, almost crying. Hurrying forward, she lightly kicked the Emperor's leg, then gently took Yun Yuran's hand. "Are you tired, dear?" she asked sweetly, carefully helping Yun Yuran sit down. She glared at the Emperor and scolded, "Don't you know she's pregnant? Making her wait on you. You think you're better than her? I ought to beat you senseless. Why can't you wait on her? The Queen will have your hide." That the Emperor was stunned, first kicked, then yelled at. He looked completely lost. Yun Yuran's lips twitched. She hadn't expected such a dramatic entrance from the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother turned back to Yun Yuran, her eyes soft with affection, practically glowing with love and vitality. Her voice was soothing. "Honorable concubine, if the Emperor ever asks you to do something for him again, you come straight to me, and I'll kick him to the curb." A big, strong man making a pregnant woman take care of him. Unbelievable. From now on, he's at your service. If he dares to disobey, break his legs. Yun Yuran was trying hard not to laugh, biting her lip to keep from bursting out. "Okay, thank you, Queen Mother, for thinking of me," she said softly, admiration shining in her eyes. She loved the Queen Mother's directness. She was exactly the kind of person she liked. "Why are you calling me Queen Mother? Call me Mom. When you give birth, I'm making you Empress. You're a blessing to the Emperor and me both. We can't thank you enough." The Queen Mother glared at the Emperor. "You hear that? No more having the imperial concubine wait on you. You wait on her. No being a jerk. Be obedient at all times. Don't you dare upset her. If she gets upset and something happens to my grandkids, I'm coming after you." That the Emperor felt like a complete outsider. His woman was now his mother's favorite. The Queen Mother was definitely playing favorites. "Yes, Mother, I'll do whatever you say. From now on, I'm at the imperial concubine's beck and call. I won't let her lift a finger. No, you still have to pamper her and keep her happy every day." The Queen Mother insisted. "Okay, whatever you say, Mom." Yun Yuran gently tugged on the Queen Mother's sleeve and whispered, "Mother, what if it's not a grandson? What if it's a granddaughter?" Chapter 46. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the Emperor doted on him every night. 46. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Yuran tugged lightly on the Queen Mother's sleeve and whispered, "Mother, what if it's a girl instead of a boy? What's wrong with that? She can call me Queen Mother, can't she? If you're worried about having a granddaughter, I'd love her just the same. At least she'd be of the Emperor's blood." She huffed. "Honestly, what's wrong with that boy? He's pushing 30 and still hasn't produced an heir. He's about as useful as a rooster." That she continued, "Maybe this time the imperial concubine will finally give us one. The Emperor benefited from you. What more could he want? What's he got to complain about?" Yun Yuran could barely contain her laughter, especially at the Queen Mother's description of the Emperor as a useless rooster. Xiao Zhenye's face darkened, his eyes shadowed, and a tick jumped at the corner of his mouth. What had he just heard? His queen calling him a useless rooster? The description was utterly ridiculous. He was a man, not a hen. "Mother, you're so kind," Yun Yuran said, unable to hide her joy. The Queen Mother patted Yun Yuran's hand. "You just focus on carrying that baby. I'm not some closed-minded old woman. As long as you can deliver a child, princess or prince, it's all the same to me. It's just that a princess who wants to reach the top has a tougher road. Even if it's a princess, the Emperor and I will pave the way for her." "Thank you, Queen Mother." Yun Yuran sincerely admired the old lady's pragmatism. Even if she was resigned to this outcome, she would still make the most of it. Why should she worry so much? Seeing the Emperor still standing there, helpless, the Queen Mother snapped, "Emperor, shouldn't you be back handling state affairs? If you don't get back to work, who's going to attend to the imperial concubine tonight?" The emperor glanced at Yun Yuran, then at the queen mother. Seeing the two of them chatting so happily, he finally left in despair. Without a word, the queen mother was right. He needed to get back and handle his duties, so he'd have time to spend with Ran Ran later. She was pregnant and prone to overthinking. If he didn't go back, she might get suspicious again, and that could harm the baby. The emperor felt lighter than air, a smile dancing on his lips that he couldn't suppress. Luda followed him, wiping his brow and walking with renewed energy. He couldn't wait to see the faces of the court officials when they found out Ran Ran was pregnant. In just a few months, he'd be welcoming a little one into the world. The thought alone sent him soaring. From that day on, the emperor handled his paperwork 3 times faster than usual, the only sound the scratching of his brush on the page. It was best to keep the pregnancy quiet in the early stages, so as not to jinx it. After 3 months, when the baby was stable, he dropped the news like a bomb on those meddling ministers. He imagined their expressions when they heard the news, and the image made him even happier. Seeing him without an heir, they'd become emboldened and formed factions. He'd tolerated it long enough and had even planned his moves. Now that he had a child on the way, he wanted to get rid of those troublemakers as soon as possible. He'd considered adopting an heir and biding his time, but now the emperor couldn't wait. If not now, when? After finishing his work, the emperor turned to Luda and said, "Keep the imperial concubine's pregnancy a secret for now. It's not appropriate to make it public just yet." "Yes, your majesty. I'll take care of it immediately." Besides a few imperial doctors, only the people in Mengyu Palace knew about the imperial concubine's pregnancy. The maids and eunuchs were easy to manage. They were slaves of Mengyu Palace, their fates tied to their mistress. A few stern words would do the trick. As for the imperial doctors, His Majesty forbade them from breathing a word, and they wouldn't dare question him. No one had heads to spare, they were too scared to spill the beans. During the day, the emperor dealt with government affairs, and at night he returned to Mengyu Palace to be with Yun Yuran. A month passed quickly. One evening, the emperor returned to Mengyu Palace, ate dinner with Yun Yuran, washed up, and settled into bed. Xiao Xinye turned to his side, put his arm around Yun Yuran's waist, and looked at her with a smile. "Ran Ran, Yun Weining and Xiao Ziheng are getting married. Do you want to go to the palace and have a look?" Yun Yuran raised her eyebrows. "So soon?" According to the secret guards, Yun Weining and Xiao Ziheng have been sneaking around together, hooked up and slept together. Yun Weining is now over 2 months pregnant. The Prime Minister's mansion, afraid of the scandal, rushed Prince Wenshuan's mansion to set the wedding. Xiao Ziheng initially wanted to wait, but the Prime Minister threatened him. If Xiao Ziheng didn't marry Yun Weining quickly, the Prime Minister's mansion would lose face. The Prime Minister and the right censor no longer supported his adoption, and took away the courtiers who were friendly with the Prime Minister. Xiao Ziheng had no choice but to agree. Haha, if those two nasty people get together, Prince Wenshuan's palace is going to be a disaster. Indeed. They're both ambitious and scheming. There's bound to be chaos. Xiao Xinye smoothed a strand of hair away from her forehead. "Ran Ran, do you want to go? Now you're a high-ranking imperial concubine. They'll all have to bow to you." Thinking of the original owner's past grievances, Yun Yuran knew she had to go. The original owner had been mired in misery until her death. Now that she was on top, she had to collect some interest for her. She would make those who bullied her in the past grovel at her feet. She wanted them to hate her so much they wanted to eat her alive, but were powerless to do anything because of her position. "When is it?" "In half a month. Ran Ran wants to go." "Yes. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to see Xiao Ziheng and Yun Weining." It was their scheming that brought her and the emperor together. She wondered what their faces would look like when they saw her. "I'll go with you then, Ran Ran." "No way. They're getting married, and if you, the emperor, show up, wouldn't that be stealing their thunder?" "You can't come with me." If the emperor went, how could she perform? In front of the emperor, she was just a weak little flower that couldn't lift a finger. In front of him, she wouldn't be able to bully anyone. "But I worry about you leaving the palace alone." "Why are you worried?" "Just send Commander Jiang and some guards with me." They're all mighty and powerful, with great martial arts skills. You think they can't protect me? Besides, it's been a while since I left the palace. I've been dying to get some fresh air. I'd probably be late coming back. If you go with me, who's going to handle affairs? Hearing her refusal, the emperor didn't force it, knowing she wanted to get revenge on those who had bullied her. He knew it would be hard with him around. All right, but you must be careful. If there's anything you can't handle, send someone back to notify me. Yes, whatever you say. Yun Yuran kissed his cheek happily, then wrapped her arms around him, closed her eyes, and fell asleep peacefully. Xiao Zhinya smiled and gently placed his hand on her lower abdomen, his face filled with unprecedented contentment, and his dark eyes overflowing with love. Chapter 47. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 47. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today's the day. The Prime Minister's palace and Prince Wenxuan's place are throwing a wedding bash, and the streets are packed. Hard to tell if folks are here to celebrate or just gawk. The streets are absolutely buzzing. Whose fancy carriage is that? A booming voice asked. Dude, you're out of the loop. Haven't you heard? The Prime Minister's daughter became the Emperor's concubine. Nope, just got into town. Man, you missed some serious drama a couple months back. Oh yeah? Spill the tea, the tall guy said, all ears. The other guy leaned in close and whispered, so, this imperial concubine used to be engaged to today's groom. Then things got messy. She ended up in the palace as the emperor's girl, and her sister became the groom's bride. Wait, the emperor stole his nephew's fiancée? Nah, they're uncle and nephew. Even the emperor wouldn't stoop that low. This is a whole soap opera. How'd she become the emperor's concubine, and how did her fiancé end up marrying her sister? A while back, the Prime Minister's daughters went to a temple. On the way back, the future empress got snatched by kidnappers and hauled off to some abandoned shack. Her fiancé and the Prime Minister led the troops to rescue her, but the place was empty when they got there. Bright and early the next morning, Prince Wenxuan's palace called off the engagement, all hush-hush. Then, the word got out that the groom was marrying the Prime Minister's other daughter. Since the Empress's aunt had some pull with the princess, rumors flew that she was the one marrying the groom, but it was all a big misunderstanding. Prince Wenxuan's palace even tried to do damage control, saying they just messed up the announcement. They only said a daughter from the Prime Minister's palace, not which one. Plus, with the aunt's connection to the princess, everyone just assumed it was the Empress. The tall guy was thinking hard. Something's rotten in Denmark, right? You bet. The story's full of holes. Who's buying that? They were engaged for, like, a decade. If it was just a misunderstanding, why didn't they clear it up sooner? What a coincidence that it only came out after the kidnapping. Weird timing, the tall dude said, scratching his head and leaning in closer. Some folks say the emperor was cruising around incognito, rescued the Prime Minister's daughter, and felt sorry for her when he heard she was engaged to his nephew. So, he brought her to the palace anyway. There are a bunch of stories, all mixed up. Who knows the real deal? That the tall guy narrowed his eyes and lowered his voice. My money's on the groom getting cold feet after the kidnapping. Another guy, less interested, chimed in. What's even wilder is that when the Empress was kidnapped, her sister didn't try to rescue her quietly. She made a scene in the streets, practically begging people to point fingers and ruin her reputation. Oh yeah, your fiancé goes missing, and instead of finding her, you go looking for a new man ASAP? I smell something fishy. The tall guy shook his head. These bigwigs are always playing games. Who cares? Even us regular Joes have our moments. You can't even imagine the kind of shady stuff those high-ups get into. The fancy carriage rolled past them, and Yin Yuran rolled her eyes at their gossip. She's in the palace now. What people say doesn't matter. Yin Yuran's carriage stopped at the entrance to the Prime Minister's mansion. Jiang Yu told the guard, hustle up and tell the Prime Minister the imperial concubine's here and wants them to come out and greet her. Yun Yuran sat quietly in the carriage, with a line of guards on either side, and a long procession trailing behind her. Sir. Madam. The imperial concubine's back. She wants you to greet her. Yun Qian nearly choked. His face was dark, and he wasn't smiling. He grumbled, that wild child can't even come back without causing a scene. I have to go out and bow to her. Lin Qianru gritted her teeth, too. The last thing she wanted was to greet her. Kneel down to her, even. The thought of bowing to the woman she used to look down on made her blood boil, but in front of Yun Qian, she had to keep up appearances and play the loving mother. Honey, don't get upset if Yuran's finally getting out of the palace. She's the imperial concubine now, and we can't afford to cross her. Besides, there are tons of people watching. Let's go out there. What if someone disrespects her and looks down on the royal family? Yun Qian got rid of his bad mood, stifled his anger, and tried to look as nice as possible. Yun Qian looked at his wife. She was gentle and thoughtful. He was glad to have her. She was virtuous, kind, generous, and knew how to run a household. She was quick-witted and knew how to be careful. She always reminded him of his duties. Honey, thank goodness I have you. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to run this place. Lin Qianru looked at him and said, You're my husband, my rock, and the head of this family. I need to take care of everything and think of everything for you. Let's go. If we don't go out there, that wild girl will find a reason to make trouble. She's been a handful since day one. Our Weining is so much more sensible and considerate. She never gives us any grief. The two of them left the Prime Minister's mansion and went to the carriage. We respectfully welcome the imperial concubine. Hearing them, Yun Yuran smiled sadly and slowly stepped out of the carriage. Father, mother, please, get up. No need for the fancy greeting. She said that, but it was all about showing off her status. Yun Qian swallowed hard, gritted his teeth, and forced himself to say, Be careful. Now that you're married into the royal family, you're a member of the royal family. Remember your place. Yes, father, you're right. I understand. Yun Yuran pointed at her maids. Father, mother, I heard my sister was getting married, so I asked His Majesty for permission to come back and pay her my respects. When the maids came out, they brought the boxes she had prepared. Dozens of boxes were piled up at the entrance of the Prime Minister's mansion, and the onlookers were green with envy. Some were envious of Yun Qian, and some were envious of Yun Weining. They envied Yun Qian for having a daughter who had brought the family honor and glory. They envied Yun Weining for having a sister who was a royal concubine and bought her such a big dowry. After all, these things came from the palace. They must be valuable, that's what everyone thought, and Yun Yuran was counting on it. Those things would be back in her hands soon. She didn't mind at all. Now that she was in charge of the harem, she could get a lot of nice things. She put everything without marks into the box. Her maids looked upset. They didn't know why she would give Yun Weining those priceless things. They didn't understand why she was so willing. Chapter 48. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 48. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Yuran nodded to Chunhua and Chuyue, signaling them to announce the wedding gifts. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Whoa, this was some serious generosity. Fit for a royal concubine, no doubt. Some of the listed items were legendary, some completely unheard of. The familiar ones were known to be priceless, and some were beyond price. What a haul. Envy dripped from every pore directed at Yun Weining. Marrying into the palace with that kind of dowry meant even if she fell out of favor, she could live like royalty for the rest of her life. Many of the ladies present bit back bitter comments, wondering why their own sisters weren't as savvy as Yun Yuran. Yun Yuran's star was rising, and even Yun Weining was basking in the glow. The fact that she was marrying the prince stoked jealous fires in many young women who had their own eyes on Xiao Ziheng. Now, with this ridiculously lavish dowry, Yun Weining was the center of attention again, and the resentment only deepened, especially in Lin Zhaozhao. She and Yun Weining were cousins, practically sisters growing up. They shared everything. Now, Yun Weining had turned on her. Her face contorted with anger, her eyes burning with resentment. Those ink-black eyes, now venomous, resembled a viper ready to strike, capable of delivering a fatal blow. She and Yun Weining had always ganged up on Yun Yuran, fueled by jealousy over her engagement to Xiao Ziheng. They were consumed with jealousy and a secret admiration for Xiao Ziheng. Now, Yun Weining was about to become the crown princess out of nowhere, and she couldn't stand it, knowing how Lin Zhaozhao felt about Xiao Ziheng. Yun Weining always played it cool, even when she joined in on targeting Yun Yuran. Her excuse was that she was helping her teach Yun Yuran a lesson, because she liked Xiao Ziheng. But now, it was clear Yun Weining had been using her as a stepping stone. Once she reached the top, she planned to kick Lin Zhaozhao aside and live the good life. Wishful thinking. Fine, Yun Weining, just you wait. Lin Zhaozhao turned away, no longer able to stomach the scene outside. As more guests arrived, Yun Qian greeted them with a practiced smile. Please, come inside. It's getting crowded out here, wouldn't want anyone getting jostled. Yes, father, Yun Yuran replied, her demeanor the picture of obedience. She led the way with a graceful stride, Chunhua and Chuyue flanking her on either side like bodyguards. Once inside, Yun Yuran was handed off to Lin Qianru, while Yun Qian continued to greet the stream of guests. As the prime minister, he had plenty of officials arriving to offer their congratulations. Ministers with daughters serving as palace concubines were green with envy, admiring Yun Yuran's ambition and her knack for pleasing the emperor. Even as a mere imperial concubine, she held the position of a deputy concubine, currently managing the 6th palace for the emperor. The prime minister and his family were on the fast track to success. Prime Minister, congratulations. Thank you. Please, head to the men's section and relax. Lin Qianru, clearly uninterested in socializing with Yun Yuran, led her to the ladies' gathering and quickly excused herself. Imperial concubine, so many guests have arrived. I must attend to them. Please enjoy yourself. Mother, go and see to your duties. Yun Yuran replied. Surrounded by high society women, she naturally played the role of the virtuous and gentle woman. As Yun Yuran entered the women's banquet hall, the ladies immediately rose, dropping to their knees. We, your servants, greet the imperial concubine. Please, everyone, rise. No need for such formality. Thank you, your majesty the imperial concubine. The women kowtowed in unison and stood in one motion. Yun Yuran's beautiful eyes scanned the room, a slight smile playing on her lips. Ladies, please, don't mind me. Her voice was soft and melodious, like a gentle breeze on a spring day. The ladies, meanwhile, were secretly sizing her up. Her beauty was undeniable, capturing everyone's attention. No wonder the emperor was so smitten. Within 3 months of entering the palace, she'd gone from noble concubine to imperial concubine. They'd all gladly shower such a beauty with affection, given the chance. Just gazing at her stunning looks was enough to brighten anyone's day. Yun Weining, upon hearing that Yun Yuran had added to her wedding gifts, felt anything but pleased. She took it as a bad omen, but she was currently getting dressed up for the wedding with the help of Mrs. Chuanfu, who her mother had invited, so she naturally didn't dare to show her anger. Today was her wedding day, so she had to endure it. It was truly infuriating. Even though she was about to become the crown princess, Yun Yuran was currently in a high position. When she saw her, she had to bow to her and say hello. How did that bitch get so lucky? Within 3 months of entering the palace, she was promoted to the rank of imperial concubine. I really don't know what kind of ecstasy drug she fed the emperor. Feeling bored, Yun Yuran got up and wandered around. She strolled around, glancing here and there, until she found herself in Yun Weining's courtyard. She was followed by a few ladies eager to win her favor, and she was waiting for them intentionally or unintentionally. If she intended to stir up trouble, the more people present, the better. Greetings, imperial concubine. The servants and maids, spotting Yun Yuran, dropped to their knees. Yun Weining ground her teeth, refusing to rise from her seat in front of the bronze mirror. A hint of mockery flickered at the corner of Yun Yuran's mouth. She glanced at Yun Weining and addressed the kneeling servants. Rise, everyone. Continue with your duties, there's no need to panic. Chunfeng approached Yun Weining, scolding her loudly. how dare you remain seated in the presence of the imperial concubine? Who gave you such audacity? Yun Weiniang glared at Yun Yuran. Yun Yuran, you're so high and mighty now that you dare to bark orders at me. Mrs. Chuanfu frowned. Was this really the refined upbringing of the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter? The reality seemed far removed from the rumors. Not only was she arrogant, but she also had a terrible temper and was even more courageous. She even dares to yell at the imperial concubine and does not take the imperial concubine in her eyes. Yun Yuran merely smiled, offering no response. Chunhua continued, you're addressing Her Majesty by her given name. Where did you learn your manners and etiquette? Her Majesty is your royal concubine. Disrespecting her is disrespecting the emperor himself. You are showing contempt for the royal family, dismissing royal authority and treating royal majesty as nothing. Oh, Yun Yuran, do you think I'm intimidated? You think a few empty threats will frighten Yun Weiniang? You were once nothing but dirt beneath my feet. Just because you've managed to climb a tree, don't think you've transformed into a phoenix. Mrs. Chuanfu closed her eyes and blocked her ears. The young lady seemed composed just moments ago. Why had she suddenly lost her composure? Yun Yuran's red lips parted slightly. You are truly bold. Do you think marrying Xiao Ziheng guarantees you a place in heaven? Ha! Resentment blazed in Yun Weiniang's eyes. Prince Xiao will soon be adopted by His Majesty. He'll be the rightful crown prince, and I, Yun Weiniang, will be the crown princess. What do you have to compare? You'll always be beneath me, Yun Weiniang, stuck in the mud for the rest of your life, unable to rise. She laughed maniacally. Once I become the crown princess, I'll be the queen of Daki Kingdom. My position will be high and noble, you'll be nothing but the lowest slave, shackled to the most wretched and despicable man in the world. Chunhua and Chuyue lunged forward to strike her, but Yun Yuran stopped them. This was the reaction she was aiming for. From the moment she walked in, she'd used her powers to amplify Yun Weiniang's dark side, making her speak the words she'd kept buried in her heart. His Majesty hasn't even announced his choice for adoption, yet you've already made the decision for him. I truly admire your talent and audacity. My queen, you're dreaming. My father is the Prime Minister, and even he doesn't have the right to make such decisions for His Majesty. So who exactly do you think you are? Yun Yuran spoke each word with precision, turning them into deadly weapons. Yun Weiniang was now terrified. She didn't want to say those things, but she couldn't control her mouth. The prince revealed father's plan to me long ago. They've already plotted it all out. In a few days, they'll join forces with the court officials to force His Majesty to adopt the prince. There are many court officials, and they are afraid that your Majesty will not compromise. Ha! The Daki Kingdom belongs to His Majesty, not to be seized by rebellious ministers and traitors. Do you think His Majesty is a fool who will simply let them run rampant? Let them revel now, their time will come. Chapter 49. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 49. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nailed it, Yun Yuran said, giving Yun Weiniang a thumbs up. Seriously, lady? Yun Weiniang's eyes widened in horror. All she wanted to do was skip the curtsy. How did it escalate into this? The other ladies, standing outside the door, heard every crazy word Yun Weiniang said. They were terrified. Everyone knew Xiao Ziheng wanted to be adopted by the emperor, but nobody said it out loud. The emperor hadn't even agreed to it yet. She was basically deciding for the emperor before he even made up his mind. It was a slap in the face to the emperor and a challenge to his authority. In a panic, the ladies wanted to get out of the courtyard as quickly as possible, afraid of getting caught up in it. Yun Yuran just looked at Yun Weiniang with disdain. This is going to be good. The maids in the room were shaking like leaves, too scared to breathe. Yun Weiniang's words had paralyzed them. The room was silent. It was getting late, so Yun Yuran told Chunhua, put the veil on her. Yun Weiniang's face was a mask of despair. Yun Yuran didn't want to look at it any longer. Hearing that the groom was arriving and the hour was auspicious, Yun Yuran turned to Yun Weiniang's maid, Huan Ping, and said, help your mistress outside. Huan Ping, equally terrified, did exactly as she was told. In the lobby, Yun Weining tried to tell Lin Qianru what had happened, but she couldn't get the words out. She kept shaking her head, and Lin Qianru just assumed she was too sad to speak. The ladies who had overheard Yun Weining's outburst stood behind their husbands, trembling. Seeing Yun Yuran and Yun Weining emerge together, they dared not show their anger. The ministers noticed something was wrong with their wives, but when they asked, their wives just shook their heads, too afraid to explain. The price for speaking up was too high. Xiao Zhenye, worried about Yun Yuran, had been secretly following her since she left the palace. Hidden in the shadows, he had heard the entire conversation between Yun Weining and Yun Yuran. He had also seen Yun Yuran deliberately lure the ladies into the courtyard. At first, he hadn't understood Yun Yuran's plan. But when he heard those treasonous words, it clicked. Still, he wondered why his imperial concubine would goad Yun Weining into saying such things. The downfall of the Prime Minister's house wouldn't benefit her at all. Guess I'll keep watching. Afraid Xiao Ziheng would get impatient, Lin Qianru urged Yun Wenhan to hurry up and carry Yun Weining out. Yun Ruoxue watched Yun Weining's grand wedding, green with envy. If only I were the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter. I could marry a noble husband too. She also envied Yun Yuran. Though also a concubine, the emperor adored her. Yun Yuran saw the envy in her eyes and smiled. Pulling her aside, away from the crowd, she said softly, marrying up doesn't mean marrying well. The palace is a snake pit. If you marry someone without sense or skills, you'll just get caught in the crossfire. Better to marry someone ordinary, even someone beneath you. At least you could have a husband and wife who are equals and respect each other. It's better than watching your husband sleep with a different woman every night. It makes me feel so sick and dirty just thinking about it. Just imagine, if your husband's thing is like a dirty mop, being used by so many women, it's just gross to think about. She gagged for emphasis. Yun Ruoxue was startled. Sister, you just said it and then made yourself sick. Yun Yuran wiped her mouth with a handkerchief. It's okay. Just thinking about it makes me want to throw up. Xiao Zhenye's face darkened. So that's what she thinks of me. Yun Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. Nobody else would put it like that, but you're right. Using something after that many women is pretty nasty. She looked at Yun Yuran and blinked. Sister, His Majesty has so many women. Don't you feel dirty? Ugh, I couldn't help it. I had already slept with him, and I didn't know he was the emperor until it was too late. It made me vomit several times. Sister, what if His Majesty sleeps with other women? After all, he has a whole harem. Yun Yuran waved her hands dismissively. He won't now. If he dares to, I'll kill him, even if it kills me. I'll make him a eunuch. She smirked, her lips curled in a sly smile. Hey, after all, I have already made him unable to lift. He can't sleep with women even if he wants to. When I finish giving birth and want to use it, I can give it to him again. Ha! Sister, you'd only say that to me. You wouldn't dare say it to His Majesty. Yun Yuran puffed out her chest. I'm not worried. I trust third sister not to rat me out. And His Majesty won't hear it. Even if he did hear it, he wouldn't dare touch me now. He needs me to deliver his son. I've got at least 6 or 7 months of freedom. And if I get bored? Well, I'll die and raise hell with the King of Hell. Wait, can she hear the plans I'm making for him so brazenly? He was speechless. Xiao Zhenye's face was a kaleidoscope of emotions. Was it anger? Shame? Mortification? He couldn't tell. She tricked me, didn't she? And she doesn't feel bad about it at all. Sister, don't worry. I won't tell a soul, not even Auntie. Yun Yuran patted her head, her face soft with affection. Good girl, Shuer. Your sister will protect you from now on. The original owner died without a proper burial in her previous life, and Yun Ruoxue had secretly gone to bury her. If not, this body would have been eaten by wild dogs. I'll look after her and repay that kindness. Besides, her aunt had also secretly helped the original owner. Without her constant help, the original owner would have starved to death a long time ago. "Thank you, big sister." Yun Ruoshua lowered her head shyly. It felt like her big sister was coddling her like a child. Yun Yuran leaned in close and lowered her voice. "The Prime Minister's mansion is going to fall. Get your father to write a letter of release for your aunt." Yun Ruoshua stared at Yun Yuran, incredulous. "Really?" "Yeah. It shouldn't be more than a few days. I don't want you and your aunt getting dragged down with them. You have to act fast." "Sister, don't worry. I'll talk to Auntie as soon as I get back." Yun Yuran took out a 500 tael silver note and handed it to Yun Ruoshua. "Go find a place to stay, then send word to the palace." Chapter 50. After the charming concubine became pregnant, the emperor doted on him every night. 50. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "You're so sweet, sis," Yun Ruoshua murmured, resting her head on Yun Yuran's shoulder, feeling a sense of peace and happiness wash over her. Even though her older sister hadn't been that affectionate before, she was being so kind now. "Still acting like a kid, huh?" Yun Yuran teased, her face softening with tenderness. "Besides Auntie, you're the best to me, schwer." Her sister was only the second person who'd ever been genuinely kind and sincere to her. "Let's head back," Yun Yuran suggested. "Okay, sis." Together, they happily returned to the banquet. Later, Yun Ruoshua slipped away. She couldn't waste any time. She needed to get back and strategize with her aunt about how to escape the Prime Minister's mansion. She no longer held any hope or expectations for the Prime Minister as a father. He had never shown her an ounce of fatherly love. Since the Prime Minister's wife despised concubines with children, she and her aunt lived a hand-to-mouth existence. The mistress wanted them both dead. But the Prime Minister would occasionally reminisce about her mother's beauty, so she didn't dare to be too blatant in her cruelty. Her aunt had to tread carefully to survive in the Prime Minister's house, occasionally flattering the Prime Minister, which just wasn't worth it anymore. She'd had enough of this life. She longed for a new beginning, a life where she could be free, do as she pleased, and answer to no one, no matter how challenging or exhausting it might be. She was ready. In the Prime Minister's mansion, she only possessed the title of Miss Prime Minister's Mansion. But she lived worse than a servant. She wasn't even free to make her own choices. She couldn't understand why Yun Weiniang, who shared the same father, enjoyed a carefree, luxurious, and contented life, while her own existence was as insignificant as a blade of grass, her very survival hanging by a thread. Luckily, she had her aunt. Despite their hardships, they found joy in their shared suffering, relying on each other for support. Compared to her sister, she was far better off. She wasn't deliberately targeted or left to starve. With her aunt's help, they were at least guaranteed 3 meals a day. Her heart ached for her sister's pain, but she was too preoccupied with her own survival to offer any meaningful assistance. Any attempt to help might backfire, causing her sister even greater suffering. She could only stand by and watch, numb with helplessness, knowing that her aunt occasionally helped her sister in secret. She never pried, fearing that the walls had ears. She yearned to escape the Prime Minister's mansion, where she constantly felt a suffocating and oppressive atmosphere. Even breathing felt like a struggle. Yun Ruoshua returned to the yard and, finding her aunt absent, called out, "Auntie," that when no response came, a wave of panic washed over her. "Auntie!" She shouted again, sensing something was amiss. The eerie silence in the yard prompted her to throw open the door to her aunt's room. The scene that greeted her filled her with dread. Disaster was about to strike. Unbeknownst to her, a maid had been lurking in the shadows. Upon seeing her enter the yard, the maid rushed off to inform someone. Yun Ruoshua, trembling, approached the bedside. Her aunt lay unconscious, alongside an equally unconscious man. A wave of dizziness swept over her, and she felt like the sky was collapsing. Her aunt had been tricked. Why? "Auntie, wake up!" she cried, desperate to rouse them. Even though shaking them proved futile, Yun Ruoshua grabbed the teapot from the table without hesitation and splashed the water on both unconscious figures. The two on the bed stirred awake, groggy and disoriented. Ignoring the man, Yun Ruoshua immediately helped her aunt sit up and adjusted her clothes, without even pausing to tidy her own hair, which hung loose down her back. She scooped up her aunt and dashed outside. By this time, Su Huan had also regained consciousness and understood the situation. She willingly did as her daughter instructed. The drug had shaken her and her hands and feet were a little clumsy, so she struggled to follow her daughter's movements. Unfortunately, the moment they burst out of the house, they were confronted by two servants standing guard outside. Looking through the open door, she saw several ladies gathered outside the yard. A sickening thud echoed in her ears, her pupils dilated, and Yun Ruoxue felt every ounce of strength drained from her body, almost causing her to collapse. It was over. She was too late. Had they known, they would have stayed hidden inside, but the house was so small that they had nowhere to hide if someone wanted to trap them. Su Huan's face was ashen. She laughed maniacally, as if years of pent-up resentment and despair had finally been unleashed. Ha ha ha, that's great. Ha ha ha. Her hair disheveled, her laughter was tinged with madness. She had been patient and cautious for so long, yet she couldn't escape this plot. The other ladies looked on, panicked at the sight of the man stumbling out of the room. They didn't recognize the man, but they saw the two women running out in a panic, followed by a man. They understood exactly what had happened. Their current situation had been planned. Aunt. Auntie, Yun Ruoxue whispered, grabbing Su Huan's arm as she listened to her aunt's anguished laughter. She was terrified. Su Huan glanced at her daughter, her laughter abruptly ceasing, and gave her a gentle, bittersweet smile. Seeing the fear in her daughter's eyes, she could only offer a reassuring smile. The man, initially bewildered by the scene, soon regained his composure. Since they'd been caught, he needed to find a way out of this mess. Just then, Lin Qianru arrived in a flurry, accompanied by a group of people. Without a word, she strode forward and slapped Su Huan across the face. The sound of the slap echoed, leaving Su Huan's cheek instantly red and swollen, bearing the imprint of 5 fingers. Yun Ruoxue was stunned by the unexpected attack. Startled, she rushed to support her swaying aunt. Auntie, are you okay? Su Huan steadied herself, looked at Yun Ruoxue, and shook her head. Lin Qianru launched into a tirade. Aunt Su, has the master treated you so badly that you'd resort to tarnishing his reputation on such a grand occasion? You ungrateful wretch! The master took you in out of pity, and this is how you repay his kindness, by embarrassing him at a time like this. Su Huan didn't defend herself, a hint of sarcasm playing on her lips. It was too late for explanations. She only worried about her daughter's fate in this cutthroat prime minister's mansion. Mother, that's not the case. You've misunderstood my aunt, Yun Ruoxue pleaded desperately. If the accusation was confirmed, her aunt would surely be doomed. How could she not be worried?